So today I want to talk about Donald Trump and $2,000 worth of stimulus. Donald Trump put a post on Twitter in which he gave a speech and was basically rambling for about 4 minutes over different topics. He essentially conflated, because I don't think he fully understands how these bills are distinct and separate and how his own administration tried to connect them. He tried to conflate the stimulus bill, the omnibus bill, which controls, the entire of government spending, and a few other pieces of legislation, and mixed them all together and treated them as one and the same, and criticized them all by saying that we shouldn't fund certain projects, that we shouldn't send aid to other countries, and most importantly, when the broken clock is right twice a day, he picked the position of saying that the stimulus of $600 was too low in the United States. He has instead advocated for a $2,000 package, probably to the surprise of a lot of Republicans like Mitch McConnell, who have been lowballing the Democrats consistently for the past however many months. Now, I am actually considering whether or not this will push the Republican Party and Mitch McConnell's hand to have to shift in the direction of a $2,000 bill. This might mean a little bit more money for all Americans. This might actually help some people. And now Trump coming out and taking this position, I am curious if he is going to veto the stimulus bill and its connecting omnibus bill, because that's not out of the realm of possibility when it comes to Trump. After all, he just vetoed the defense spending bill, which literally is the military's spending budget. He just vetoed it because he disagreed with one particular component of it, that it supported big tech too much. And since he doesn't like big tech because they censor his social media posts and they make his not facts, have to be accountable, he's angry at it. And so he threw the entire GOP-backed plan for the military out the window. And more than likely, because of everything, that particular bill will end up being passed anyway, because they'll override his veto with a supermajority vote. But this is the kind of position that Trump can take. And he is probably realized at this point that a lot of his base actually requires stimulus. You probably had a lot of people complaining on Twitter. He probably saw a lot of those messages, probably something trending, and he noticed that a lot of Republicans were calling out for this and probably disagreeing with a lot of the stuff in the omnibus bill. And he decided he had to put a firm footing down and criticize it and come out against all of it. And so what this does is it creates a huge problem within the Republican Party. The Republicans are infighting now between their typical corporate-backed positions where a lot of the stimulus was supposed to go to big business and go to these ideas of trickling down jobs and all this, into a position of having to actually directly hand checks to people. And you've got these two factions, this corporate donor and this populist perspective, that are now infighting in the Republican Party. And you could see that clearly in certain quotes, like Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger tweeted on Tuesday night that Trump was, quote, conflating the government spending portion of the bill with the economic relief portion. His team negotiated this and blessed combining the two. But since Twitter erupted, he erupted. Then you have a person who was a top aide named Brendan Buck, a former top aide of House Speaker Paul Ryan, coming out and saying, "This is what happens with a president who places more trust in conservative fever swamp Twitter than his own Treasury Secretary. His administration helped negotiate this bill, and he just pulled down the pants of every Republican who voted for it." This is hilarious, because they have no idea how to handle this. And Trump is probably more interested in maintaining his popular support over the next 4 years than the position of all these corporate back donors that a lot of the other Republicans are adhering to. He helped negotiate this. And I have to think that maybe if he wasn't so focused on performing coup after coup and trying to take over the election, then maybe he would have actually heard some of the pleas of people months ago and maybe actually done the one right thing that he's actually advocating for. Again, I'm actually not surprised that he wants this position because it supports his long-term popularity. He wanted his name on every check on the first stimulus because it made him go out there and look great to the American people. That's what he's about. He's about aesthetics. He's about image. It's part of the same fascist trend that we're used to. And if it appeals to populism in this particular way, he's going to do it. Quite against the wishes of his own party. And so, moving from that, I want to talk about how this is going to benefit the Democrats in the long run and how Trump really threw them a bone with this. The Republican strategy thus far within the Congress, and specifically the Senate, has been to blame the Democrats, to say that the Democrats have been the ones constantly asking for something that was so impossible, this nearly socialistic bill, $2,000, how could we ever do this? And basically making claims right now that the Republicans cannot put a spending bill of more than $1 trillion out there, and that $2,000 a month would just be too much to hand to people. And I need to be real right now, $2,000 is still a drop in the bucket at the end of the day. $600 was nothing. $2,000 might hold some people over for a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, depending on where you live and your situation and how much you're budgeting. But we need that retroactive at this point. This should have happened in May, June. This should have been happening way sooner. And you know what? That's not where we are. I could sit here speculating for a long time about where that would put us. That doesn't really make sense to me. You know, it's not good practice to talk about what ifs in this particular moment. But the fact is that this $2,000 is a huge boost, but still not enough. And so I think what the Democrats really need to do is take this and run with it. Call out the fact that the Republicans, especially Mitch McConnell, have been lying to the American people. Remind people that Mitch McConnell is the person who, if the Georgia election goes to the two Democrats, will lose the most. He will lose his position of power in the Republican Party because the Senate majority would go to the Democrats. Reminder that if the Democrats win these two seats in the Senate, from Georgia, Kamala Harris breaks the 50-50 tie between Democrats and Republicans, meaning the Democrats will run the House and the Senate. And if they appeal on the grounds that it's been the Republicans lying this whole time, and that it's not some socialistic program from Joe Biden trying to introduce socialism and communism into the country, and they can ground it in the fact that Trump supported it, they could swing this into a huge victory in Georgia. They could end up getting the Senate and the House for the next 2 years. They could actually start pushing for more progressive legislature. This is a bonus. Trump has handed the Democratic Party a gift. Even if the $2,000 package isn't able to be put out there, even if we're not able to see the end result that we'd like in the immediacy, this means that Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff have a tool to push themselves forward. And again, this is because Trump has revealed that the Democrats have been the ones working in good faith this whole time. And so, I guess, drawing it all in, Trump, at the end of the day, is a broken clock. He gets things right every now and then. And we should be grateful when he does. And honestly, we should be grateful that this is one of the things that he's been right about. The Republican Senate has been lying. Mitch McConnell has been lowballing Pelosi for months. There is a situation where Pelosi was calling for a compromise of a $2.2 trillion package with $1,200 checks for a long time. And that was considered too much, too socialistic, too problematic. But now we know better. Trump, who's clearly not a socialist in the eyes of most Republicans, is advocating on behalf of his constituents for this as well. With that said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications. You can follow me on Twitter and check out my Discord in the description down below. And with that said, my name is Anarchist Tara, and I hope you enjoy watching.